All right, we are officially recording. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the first spring webinar for Jewish teen education and engagement. We are incredibly excited to have Kelly Cohen joining us today from JumpSpark Atlanta. I know she's going to introduce herself and give you lots of information about her program, so I don't want to step on her toes by saying too much. Other than Kelly and I know each other from the Atlanta area, and she is a gem, and her energy and enthusiasm is contagious, and I'm a big, big fan. So, Kelly, let's let you introduce yourself, and then after you do that, let's go around the squares, and everybody can let you know who they are, where they're from, what kind of organization or program they represent, and then we'll go straight into your presentation.
Okay, hold on. I had a whole slide, and now I'm having, so hold on, I'm going to...
So while Kelly's looking at that, what I'll say is that during the conversation today, if you guys have any questions, feel free to use the chat. I will have the chat open, and I'll toss questions out to Kelly as they come along. That doesn't mean that you're not allowed to speak. So if you want to speak, you can unmute yourself and ask your question live too. So either way is fine, but I'm moderating the chat as well.
Okay, all right. Hold on. So I'm going to share this and from the beginning. Okay. So hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Cohen. I am the director of JumpSpark, and I will tell you a lot more about that. So just a little bit of who I am. I have been working in the field of Jewish education for the past 15 years. I have worked in pretty much every kind of setting you can imagine, from camps to day schools to Jewish communal work. I went to Brandeis. I have a master's in Jewish education from Hebrew College. I'm a graduate of the Parenthood Educators Program. Just last week, I completed M2 Senior Educators Cohort, and I'm really excited to have this opportunity to get to know all of you and to share more about who I am and the work that we're doing with JumpSpark.
Awesome. All right. So let me go through the group. So Fred, I'll let you start first.
Fred Nagler from Bergen County, New Jersey, principal of the Bergen County High School of Jewish Studies, 8th grade through 12th grade community Hebrew high school.
Excellent. All right, Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan Weiss. I am in Atlanta County, New Jersey, south of Fred, and I'm the director of Kulanu School of Jewish Studies, which has classes from 7th grade to 11th grade.
Excellent. And Judy, my fellow Floridian.
Hi, how are you? We should get together more often than on the chat.
Exactly.
So I'm in Tampa, Florida, and I work at a congregational school, conservative school, and do all ages and teen programming. And was there something else I was supposed to add or not? So.
Erica, you're muted. Am I up? Because you're muted on mine for some reason. Okay, Dove Lerner. I live in a suburb of Philadelphia. I drive an hour and 15 minutes to Reading, Pennsylvania. We have a very small program, and we are now awaiting to see whether they're going to continue it or not. It's serious. And the problem on top of it is that BBYO has collapsed, Nifty has collapsed, there is no USY, and there are sufficient teenagers to call upon, and nobody's taking the lead anywhere. Hello. Welcome to my world.
Thank you.
I'm 76 and have been doing this for 60 years, and my wife for 58.
Amazing. Thank you. All right, I'm going to mute you again. All right, Megan. Oh, let me unmute you. There you go.
Hi, there you go. Hi, I'm Megan Harkavy. I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm the director of Hebrew High, which is a consolidated high school for 8th through 12th graders between a Reform synagogue and a conservative synagogue. And we have a handful of teens who are also unaffiliated with both. So it's a good mixture of students.
Perfect. Thank you. And Ellen. There you go.
Hi, there we go. Hi, I'm Ellen Kleinhaus from Sharsheret. We are a national not-for-profit that supports Jewish women and families facing breast cancer, and I'm the director of campus and community engagement. So I'm excited to meet you all and kind of hear all about what you all do and learn from you.
Amazing. Thank you, Ellen. All right, now we've got Joel.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joel Swedlove. I'm the Director of Youth Programs and Informal Education for Temple Bethel in San Antonio, Texas. So sort of everything that is non-religious school but still youth-based is under my portfolio. But as you can imagine, the majority of my time is spent in the teen space with their issues and excitability and all of those things. So I'm excited to hear about always new and unique ways to interact with them.
Awesome. Thank you, Joel. All right, Danielle.
Hi, I'm Danielle Alexander in Houston, Texas. I run our citywide Hebrew high school program for 8th through 12th grade.
Thank you. And Leanne. Let's see if we can get her unmuted. I don't know if she's there.
I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
I am having some camera difficulties with my Mac today. I apologize. So I'm just listening, but I am the Director of Jewish Life and Learning at Congregation Beth Shalom in Northbrook, Illinois, and I sort of picked up the Hebrew high school along the way. And I'm loving every minute of it and happy to be here.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, Kelly, we're going to throw it back to you to kick off and let us know all about JumpSpark and some lessons that you've learned along the way and maybe some things that we can apply to the organizations that we run.
Great. Thank you so much. So can everybody see my PowerPoint? Yes? Great. Okay, so as I said, I'm Kelly Cohen, Director of JumpSpark. And JumpSpark, how do I do this? Okay, so JumpSpark is a part of the Jewish Teen Education and Engagement Funder Collaborative. So this was an initiative started by the Jim Joseph Foundation to really explore how to raise teen engagement. So we all know the statistics about teen engagement in terms of the number of kids that fall off after post-bar and bat mitzvah, and just that is I think, an internal struggle of the Jewish people is how do we keep our teens engaged? So Jim Joseph really invested in this, and we have 10 cities that are running concurrent experiments in how to raise teen engagement. And every experiment looks different because what this means to do this work in LA or Boston is different than what it looks like to do this work in Atlanta. So we were the 9th out of 10 cities to get funding. We're the only city in the South, which we're very proud of. And I really think that the Teen Funder Collaborative is really changing the game in terms of outcome-driven, data-driven teen engagement work. And if that's not something that you're familiar with, I really encourage you to go to their website, look at all of the amazing work that is being done on a national level, or if there's a teen initiative near you. It's really, really exciting work, and I'm very honored to be a part of it. So when JumpSpark started, the strategic plan that put together our grant funding and brought us into the Teen Collaborative really set us up with a very strong model of how we were going to run programming. So we basically had two components at the beginning. We had JumpSpark That was our teen-facing programming, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like, or what that looked like, and JumpSpark Professional. So JumpSpark Professional is our professional development network that we run locally for any Jewish educators or Jewish professionals who interact with the teens in our community. So that's actually a much more expansive network of folks than just kind of your youth educators in your synagogue. When you really start thinking about where are all the kind of points of contact for teens in our community, there's a lot of people in that. So that is who we serve through JumpSpark Professional. So the original model for our teen programming was something called Pathways. And these pathways were supposed to be interest-based programming for teens available over school breaks. So the idea was that there were lots of teens out there with lots of different passions and interests, and that we needed to create a space for the teens to explore those passions or interests inside a Jewish community. And this was whether you were interested in music or photography or sports or food or really whatever it was, that we were going to create very high-level resume-building programs where you could interact with your area of passion through a Jewish lens. We explored ideas of job shadowing, really using Atlanta as our classroom and taking advantage of the full range of possibilities that were there, and using kind of bringing Jewish values into all of that. So that was the initial model that we were really working on and selling as we launched JumpSpark out into the community. So I want to show you guys what that looked like. So we did run a pilot of this model. It was called JumpSpark Sports, January of 2018. And I want to show you guys a quick video kind of what this model looked like in practice. I hope you can all hear.
Dream big, believe in yourself, and don't let anyone tell you you can't do anything that you dream of.
Programs like this do not exist anywhere else. We are starting with the interests of the teens, the sparks that they already have, building on that to get them involved and engaged with the Jewish community.
So you're going to be official G League referees. Technical foul.
150,000 Ethiopians migrated from Ethiopia to Israel. Their faith and belief got them through hardship.
I connected with the kids over shared sports interests.
It's just real interesting to know that, I'm not the only Jewish person here.
I learned a lot about how to be a hero.
So that, hold on, I want to pause it right here. So that was JumpSpark Sports. We had 14 teens engaged, 13 boys, 1 girl, which was very exciting for us and kind of flipping the model of kind of your normal demographics on its head. And we ran JumpSpark Sports, and we were really excited about it. And you can see here, kind of at the end of the film, there was this idea that additional tracks were coming soon. And we immediately got to work on planning our spring break options. And we planned 6 spring break options. We had a social justice program. We had a farm to table program, documentary filmmaking, esports. Now I'm not remembering the rest of them. And we launched these 6 really interesting and exciting programs out into the world. And we had high expectations of kind of the impact this was going to have in bringing teens together, and no one signed up. We had, out of these 6 spring break options that I had spent months kind of really pouring my heart and soul into creating, we had literally 1 teen signed up for the entire program. And I think that that's really a lesson in just because you have a good idea doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work. And we reached a crossroads where we had this model and no one was biting. And what were we going to do? And I think that at this point we could really have said,
we failed, right? We had this model, we went out and we were going to do this thing, we were going to create these interest-based programming, and there's not really a market for that. Asking teens to spend their whole spring break with us or their whole winter break with us we were really asking everyone to be nachshon, right? Like, we want you to step out first and take this big leap with us, and we want you to spend your whole spring break with us. And that was a big ask. And we weren't being successful at it. And I think that looking back on it now, and why I put up this quote in terms of kind of owning our failures, is that I look at that moment now as really kind of when JumpSpark started to figure out what it could be and what it could do. And it really wasn't a moment of failure. It was really a moment of pivot, but it didn't necessarily feel like that at the time. So in terms of failure, I have learned kind of through this process to really embrace failure and to know that everybody fails. And I think in our work, working with teens in the Jewish world, we have to be willing to kind of try things out and know that failure could happen. It might, maybe nobody signs up. Like, that's what happened to us. But that failure is incredibly important. It's an incredibly educative process where you learn a lot about what is necessary for growth and innovation. And what you gain is an ability to really tell your failure story. You own that narrative, and you can kind of learn to tell your failure story. And what we learned was that we needed to step back and not to rely solely on this model that we had been given, but we really needed to look holistically at the Atlanta Jewish community and say, well, what is needed? Where could we have an impact? And how can we be trying out models in our community that allows us to fail faster, right? How can we try something out, learn from it, grow, and really speed up that process to speed up innovation? So that's what I want to show you, is kind of where we have come from that moment. So we came up with a new innovation formula for JumpSpark, and it's really 4 components together. And those are demonstrate, cultivate, incubate, innovate. And this is really the 4-tier structure that very much drives the work that JumpSpark does now. So I want to walk you through kind of what this looks like on a high level. And then what I want to do is show you some examples of what this looks like in practice and kind of what we have learned from going through this process. So the first level of this is demonstrate. So I'm an educator, that is my background, and I know that if you want students to do something, you have to model it, right? And we were really taking on the whole Atlanta Jewish community, and especially the sector of teens, as how are we going to kind of move this community forward? How are we going to bring new models? How are we going to bring new people, new teens into engagement with us? And the first step of that had to be demonstrating. We had to find a way as JumpSpark to be modeling and providing innovative programming out in the community. And that we couldn't necessarily expect the community to kind of take that first step for us, that we had to be providing that model and showing what that could look like. And so that became kind of the driving force of JumpSpark's programming, is how are we demonstrating, how are we modeling the kind of programming we want to see out in the community. The second component of that is cultivate. And this is done for JumpSpark through our professionals network, working with professionals, and through building a culture of trust, experimentation, and risk. And often in our settings, we are very risk adverse. And we want to put out an idea that we know is going to be successful, we know is going to get kids to come and be there. And we have to somehow figure out as a community how to be working together, to be taking risks, to be trying new things, and how can JumpSpark be cultivating that in the community and really encouraging people, not just us as a program provider, but really in working with the whole community, trying to cultivate a culture shift in terms of bringing about innovative Jewish teen programming. Now, the next part was incubate. So one of the things that shifted was we learned that we could not solely be a program provider. When I talked about what our initial model was, it was that we were going to be a program provider. We were going to go out and we were going to create these week-long, 3-day-long immersive experiences around areas of interest. And what we realized was just trying to pull people to our program wasn't going to be successful. And we needed to look at the whole landscape. And what we did is we shifted our model to be a grant giving model. And in doing that, it allowed us to not just demonstrate and cultivate, but to help others out there to grow their skills and to grow their programs in terms of innovation. So we were able to invest in existing programs to support new and innovative ideas and to really put our money where our mouth was and to encourage other people to think creatively. It is much easier to ask someone to take a risk or to think creatively if there is some kind of support there for them. And that could be our professional network, but really, let's be honest, the dollars don't hurt, right? That allows you to take a little bit of risk. And the goal of all of this, through our programming, through doing some culture shift and building up a culture of risk, and also putting some grant funding out into the community to incubate new ideas, we felt like all of those together were really going to lead us to manifesting new models and to innovating the Atlanta Jewish community. So this was our 4-step process that we really embarked on as we figured out that we needed to approach the work differently. So what is JumpSpark today? So JumpSpark was kind of a program provider, but now we like to think of ourselves as kind of a hub of Jewish innovation here in Atlanta. So we work with people in the community. Our goal is not just to bring in more underengaged teens, but to create more defining moments for the Jewish teens in our community. So that involves working with underengaged teens, with engaged teens, and really just to enrich the whole landscape. We're very dedicated to Jewish education and creating new opportunities for Jewish education. And we also had to expand our audience. Initially, our audience was teens and professionals, but those were really seen as kind of 2 separate branches of what it was that we were doing, as opposed to a holistic whole of our organization. And now we have shifted our audience. We now have 3 very clear audiences. We work with teens, we work with their parents or the families of teens, and we work with the professionals or educators who serve teens. And all of this ultimately is in service of the teens in our community. We are not working with professionals just to work with professionals and just for their professional growth. I mean, that's wonderful, but ultimately we want that all to trickle down to the teens that we are working with. And that you have to see the world of a teen as there are many points of influence. And how do I get to all of those different points of influence? How do I raise the conversation? How do I bring new tools into the conversation to really raise the whole bar of what is going on with teens? And we do programs and we provide grants. So that is another piece. So if you look at this is really kind of the model. So all of this falls under JumpSpark. JumpSpark, our Navigating Parenthood series, which is how we work with parents, which I can speak more about, and JumpSpark Professional. So in the past 18 months, through this new innovative model, we have been able to serve far more than 14 teens, which is in the initial kind of idea of JumpSpark. It said in our strategic plan we were going to serve 800 teens in our first year. We served 14, which is not quite 800. But since then, we have served over 1,000 Jewish teens, parents of teens, and educators or professionals. We have partnered with 75 different organizations, mostly Jewish organizations here in Atlanta. Partnerships are core to what we do. And core to how we get our work out into the community. And we are just finishing our first big round of strategic investments into the teen space. I would love to share more about what all those are, but stay tuned because we're still kind of crossing our T's and dotting our I's. But we have made a $260,000 investment into the teen space here in Atlanta, which that is going to have ripples far beyond what we ever could have accomplished just through running these interest-based programming. I want to say one word about navigating parenthood when that really came about, because I had a parent come to me and say, when I had an infant, there were tons of support groups for me, right? I could go and I could find all these other parents that also had infants and we could talk about it. And this parent was saying, now I have teenagers. The stakes seem much higher in terms of the struggles that my teens are having or the reality that my teens are living in. And I don't feel like I have that resource. And we created the Navigating Parenthood series. And really our goal of that is twofold. It is to build community among Jewish parents, threefold, say three things. It is to build community among Jewish parents, to give them a space to come together and not feel like they're alone in parenting teens and knowing that parenting teens is hard. It is also to connect parents to the resources available in our Jewish community to help them with that. And the way we approach this is really dealing with issues of teen wellness. So we kicked off our series with the film Angst, which really opened up the conversation around teen anxiety in our community, which I'm sure all of you work with teens, you know that this is a very present issue. There's just the anxiety and stress that our teens are feeling today just surpasses what it was in the past. And parents feel very overwhelmed by that. And so we started off with that. We have also done programs around vaping, because that is a real reality in teens' lives that parents don't know what to do about it. They're not quite sure how this technology works. We're doing a program coming up around teen dating violence and how do you help your teens to be in healthy relationships. We're also helping parents around gender and sexuality and that conversation, and helping to equip parents with a more expansive vocabulary to really speak to kind of the gender and sexuality landscape that their teens are growing up in, which is very different than even when I was in high school. And parents feel very overwhelmed by this. So that's just a bit about navigating parenthood. But we really have, in shifting to this model, seen much more momentum, much more success, and have been able to touch a lot more people out in the community. So I want to say a little bit about what pieces JumpSpark still owns in this. So one of the ways that we have been able to model innovation this year, and kind of our flagship teen program that we are running, is our Strong Women's Fellowship. So we have 30 Strong Women Fellows this year, 9th through 12th grade. And we get together once a month and we grapple with different issues of being a woman today in 2019. And I think that this was a program that got traction because I think it really spoke to the moment. When we were launching kind of this program and putting these pieces together, this was very much as Me Too was very much in the news, and women were running in increasing numbers for political office, and they were being put on the cover of newspapers saying, this was going to be the year of the woman. And we were very much at the edge of that, and really leading, bringing that conversation into the Jewish community and creating a space to grow leaders, female leaders, strong female leaders in our Jewish community, but doing that in a very authentic way of talking about what the issues are that they are facing. And we meet once a month for workshops and talks. I'm happy to talk more about what that looks like. But this has been a very successful program that we have been running and will be running year 2 next year. And almost all of our fellows have asked to continue on to next year. So hopefully next year we'll have 60 Strong Women Fellows, and that model is growing and changing. And I want to show you one more video that really shows kind of what is the impact that we have, or what is the shift been from shifting from being solely a program provider, where you saw that JumpSpark Sports video, to kind of thinking about ourselves as a hub, and what has that looked like. So I want to show you one more video.
We have 200 teens with us this weekend from all over the Southeast. And we're lucky and fortunate to partner with JumpSpark, and the Spark grant that we received allowed us to do this innovative offsite programming. We have kids at the aquarium, at the CNN Center, College Football Hall of Fame.
We got to do a tour where we got to see some whale sharks, and that was really cool. And then we broke off into small groups and did a Snapchat scavenger hunt.
Our theme for this weekend is really looking at Jewish values, really connect those values to unique experiences. Drinking a sip of a strange flavor of Coke, like how does that connect to the Jewish value of kef, of fun?
The core values that we learned was perseverance. We're taught as Jews to combat hate with love by volunteering, helping others, and contributing to the community through acts of tikkun olam.
loves the Coke Museum!
Okay, so that was one of our first kind of forays into grant giving. We explored this idea of collaboration grants. And we said we would love to see more collaboration in the Jewish teen space. That often in our work, and I'm sure you guys have experiences with this, that we get very siloed, right? We focus on our programs and our success. And I think part of the Teen Funder Collaborative model in general, and one that JumpSpark is really pushing, is how do we stop saying these are my teens, right? They go to my program, they go to my synagogue, they're my teens. And how do we shift that to think about how are we dealing with the community's teens? And how are we working as a community to really offer our teens the best Jewish experiences that they can have? And so in service of that, we launched these collaboration grants. And we said, we will give you $1,000 if you, as a Jewish teen serving program or professional, partner with another Jewish teen serving program or professional. So this program that you saw was a partnership between Nifty SAR, which is our local Nifty region, and the Temple, for the Temple here in Atlanta, as they were hosting Fall Kala. And we were able to elevate an experience to get these teens out into the community, to be engaging with their Jewish values out in the community, which is actually, if we go back to what the Pathways model was of using Atlanta as a classroom, of connecting around areas of interest, we were actually better able to achieve our initial goals through this different model. So it wasn't that the goals were wrong. It wasn't even really that the framing was wrong and contributed to the failure. It was the methodology. We were able to shift our methodology and actually be better able to achieve our goals. And so we were able to fund a number of things like that, but I think that one is especially a good example of, you saw in our video in JumpSpark Sports, there were 14 teens engaging in a program, and that's amazing. And we should never discount experiences that have 14 teens in them. We should never discount experiences that have 3 teens in them. But there were hundreds of teens that we were able to touch through that program. And just to see a larger impact of what our funds were able to do and what our impact was able to do, and able to step in and really increase the bandwidth, both in terms of financial support, but also coming in and helping to devise and create that program, really increased the bandwidth of that organization and elevated the whole experience for all of the teams, which was very exciting. Oh, hold on. So I want to offer 4 different lessons that I think really have come out of this process of going from where we were at the beginning, which all of this has happened very quickly. This has all happened in pretty much the last 18 months. So, right, fail faster, move faster, come up with new ideas, and continue to try things. So I want to highlight 4 things that I think are really my 4 takeaways that I have learned from this journey. 1, innovation takes a village. In the initial model, JumpSpark was standalone and was trying to kind of innovate on their own, and it didn't work. Because as a community, right, Kol Yisrael, Arvim Zeh Lezeh, we are all responsible for each other. We need to be thinking about our whole community and working together and sharing ideas and supporting each other. And that if we want to provide better experiences for our teens, we need to think about a bigger population, think about our whole village, our whole community working together. The second is invest in the people that are doing the work. I think often in innovation work, we want to go out and find that new shiny penny, right? That new thing that, oh, if we can just do that, all these Jewish keeping teens involved, like, it's going to fix it, right? Just that one program, that's going to fix it. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think there is one solution that if we just find that right idea, or if we just frame this program right, it's going to fix everything. I think what we have to do is we have to go out and see who is actually doing this work in the community, who is actually connecting with teens, who actually has their ear, who actually are influences in their life, and support those people. And figure out, how do we invest in what is already good and not try to always ignore kind of what is already good in search of something new. We don't want to always find the new and discount the powerful work that is happening. The third lesson is grow what's working and stop doing what isn't working. And I think that seems simple, but that was a hard lesson for us to learn. We had a model. We were told, this was what was going to be successful, these interest-based programs, and it didn't work. And we had to at some point say, that's not working, and to continue to put so much energy into something that wasn't working was not actually going to be an effective use of our energy. And we just had to say, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to do something different. And we're going to focus on what are those pieces that are being successful. Where are those little sparks of something that could turn into something great? And how do we really lean into that and stop beating ourselves up over what isn't working? And that's okay. And sometimes it's really hard to let go of what isn't working. But we have to do that in order to make the space to grow what is working. And the last one is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I think that this has really contributed to JumpSpark's success. And one of the things that I want to encourage you to do after this is go on and look at our social media, look at our Instagram, look at our Facebook, because you will see that all of these pieces, everything that we are putting out into the community, is in line, is vision aligned, is mission aligned, and is of a high quality. Because what that email looks like that you send to a parent, or what that Facebook post looks like, needs to be as much an outgrowth of the vision and of the model as kind of the program also. And I think we all, as programmers, as educators, get very focused on the program, and we have to remember that the whole experience is our students' experience. And how we do all of these things is part of growing who we are, increasing our impact with teens. So that is JumpSpark. I have touched on a lot of things at a kind of very fast, high level, just to kind of give you a sense of what is the arc that we have been on, where did we start, what didn't work, how did we take that and kind of speed up this process of trying out new things, and where we are now. I'm happy to go back and speak to any of those pieces in more detail, or answer any questions that you guys have based on all of this information I just gave you.
So I'm going to unmute myself for a second and just say that when I asked Kelly to do this program, I had my own vision for what it would look like, and she has surpassed that vision completely. And while many of us who are on the call today run Hebrew High programs and are doing something a bit different than what JumpSpark is doing, I think there is a lot to learn. Not only JTEEN can learn from what she said, but also, listening to how failure can actually improve future work, and how we can partner and we can collaborate with those in our community in order to create even better programs than we imagined. All of these things are things that I think each of us can take back to our own programs and communities and see how we might be able to look at them through a slightly different lens. So if anybody has any questions, I know Dove had some questions about some budgeting things. So if you want to unmute yourselves, if you have any questions, we've got, a few more minutes to do that.
Mute. Can you hear me, Kelly? Yes? Okay. My question in part is, after, by the way, I'd like to move to Atlanta. Because you're doing what I'd love to do, and you're really smart, and you got tremendous, if you'll pardon the expression, spunk. And I love spunk. The question is, can this be downsized as a model to a very small federated community when money is very tight, so giving grants is almost an anathema? Okay? Except for those who want to receive. Okay. How would you suggest we go about it?
Okay, so I know that the Teen Funder Collaborative does put us in a very fortunate situation of having money to play with, which I do not take for granted, and know that this is definitely not going to be the reality for my whole career in Jewish education. But yes, there are lots of ways that this model can be implemented, and there are a lot of things that we do that don't actually cost any money. So let me give you some examples. One of the things that we are embarking on right now through JumpSpark Professional is roundtable conversations. And I have found that there are professionals in our community who work in similar fields who don't know each other. And we don't know who all the players are, and all the people don't know each other. And just bringing people together and saying, hi, you guys all work in the Israel space with teens. Let's all figure out, what do you each do? What is your area that you really own and what you really do well? And then if you know what everybody does really well, then you can call on somebody else to support you when you need that. And you can say, I don't have to be the end all be all. I can really focus and do this well, and I know where my resources are. And so bringing people together, having conversations, is incredibly important, just to bring the community together and foster that collaboration.
Kelly, did you use a community demographic structural survey from which to gather this data?
Which data?
Who are all the groups and the agencies and professionals?
So, I mean, not really so much in doing that. That is, I am everywhere talking to everyone all the time. And I think that, I work very hard on building strong relationships and helping others to build strong relationships as well. And to say, I can be a connector because I have a strong sense of kind of who all the players are in the Jewish teen space. And that took work, right? I had to go out and meet all those people and then say, hey, you person over here, you should really know this person because they're doing amazing work and you should be working together. So that is one. And the other thing I would say is what we can provide when we initially started to pivot and initially started to pursue these partnerships before we were even grant giving. We said there are things that we can provide. And one is we can provide educational consultation. I can come in and I can help you think through what a program is and what a program could be. Because so often we get so kind of stuck in our own world and we say, oh my gosh, the weight of the world is on my shoulders and I need to come up with this amazing program. And we don't ask for help. And I think I think that took some of that stigma away that like, hey, I'm here to help you and I'd love to help you think about that. So I think having those conversations, drawing on each other's resources. We also have, JumpSpark right now is 2 people. It is myself and another woman who does our marketing and communications. And, we said, one of the things we have built is we built a community calendar. We aggregate all the Jewish teen offerings in the city of Atlanta, and we send that out every 2 weeks. And we say, here's everything that's going on, and we can highlight the work of other people, and we can really promote the work of other people. And I think that in some ways that's a shift, because there's a panic that if I am promoting someone else's program, if I'm encouraging you to go do something else, that this is zero sum, right? That like, if you do that, you're not doing my thing. And I think that getting beyond the idea of it being zero sum, and that, right, we are a community and we are working together, and we want a teen to find the right place for them that is meaningful and impactful for them, that there are ways we can really be supporting each other's work with a stronger end goal in mind that, again, doesn't cost any money.
I'm going to only add one more thing, and then I will be quiet because other people have things to ask them. I have learned, unfortunately, over the years, too many communities and or individuals work on the following mantra. We are, I believe in team, oh, but I walk turf. Okay? Done.
No, and I agree. And I think that, you know, there's this idea that like we have everything we do have to be in service of teens, not necessarily in service of ourselves. And that's a struggle. That's hard.
Kelly, I have a question.
Sure.
First, thank you. I loved everything that you had to say and what you're doing. I also come from a very small community and am really fascinated by the Navigating Parenthood program.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting over illness. Are you in a position to share the framework of that with other communities and also the Strong Women's Fellowship and how that works?
Yes, I am happy to share everything that I have. So basically, the way our Navigating Parenthood series comes together is we do a once-a-month program responding to some kind of issue out there in the community. And really, one of the things that has been central to us is, where are the organizations in the Jewish community that are doing this work? And how do we put them in front of parents in a way that when a parent is having a struggle, they think, oh, I know about this resource in the Jewish community that could help me with this. And one of our strongest partners here in doing this work is JF&CS here in Atlanta. And JF&CS offers amazing resources in terms of mental health counseling, substance abuse, all these different pieces. And they've always struggled to get teen audiences. And we have been able to get these amazing professionals that exist in our community, these amazing resources in our community, in front of parents to help these parents to make Jewish choices as they navigate these. So that has been one, right? Find out, right? Invest in the people that are doing the work. Who is already doing this work in your community? And that can be Jewish or non-Jewish. And how do you build that up? So,
I mean, I've been talking to our JFS organization because we're planning on next year doing a program for parents during Kulanu so they can drop off. But the question is, do you do it in-house or do you meet at a coffee house? Do you do it for an hour? I mean, just the real nuts and bolts.
Nuts and bolts. 7 to 9 p.m. is our window. We do it on weeknights. We do it somewhere around in the community. It is disconnected from another program. It is not like a parent program that's like in a Hebrew High. We have spoken to many Hebrew Highs and are trying to figure out they want us to be doing more of this for their individual communities. We've done them at the JCC. We've done them at a day school. We will take any space that the Jewish community wants to give us for free. And we just launched these programs. One of the things that has been really successful for us in doing this program, and I encourage you to go onto our Facebook and look at this for our Love Shouldn't Hurt. That's our next program. We're partnering with Shalom Bayit at our JF&CS to talk about teen dating. It's not costing us anything to do this, right? They want to get these resources out there. We want to put them in front of people. And we get partner organizations. So we say out to the community, hey, we're going to offer this program. We're going to offer this workshop on teen dating violence. Would you like to be our partner in this? Partnership costs them nothing. It is really just helping us to spread the word. So we got, if you look at the last one, we have like 14 community organizations that say, yes, we value this also. And we would like to help you in publicizing this and making this available to our community. So that really amplifies our message and allows us to reach a lot more people that we wouldn't have reached, because you might be getting your synagogue newsletter and you really are connected to that, but you're not as connected to the JumpSpark's Facebook. So we are really trying to get as many people as possible to help us to share these. And we are trying to address issues that are available, that are coming up in every community. So it can benefit every community to have this kind of conversation happening. So I would say partnerships and highlighting the amazing organizations in whatever size community you have that's already doing this work. I can talk about strong women also, but that's a separate conversation. If somebody else has a question.
And I was just going to go on what Kelly was saying, which is the reason that Kelly is here with us today is because I reached out to her to knowing that she was a great resource in our national community and asking her to share her wisdom and her experience with the group. So collaborations are incredibly important now. They're not always expensive or, cost anything at all. And they only increase the value of what's being offered by any one individual program. So if there are no other questions, I want to thank Kelly for the time that she spent with us today, for putting together a beautiful PowerPoint presentation. This was incredibly informative. I look forward to sharing this webinar with the rest of our membership community, as well as others who are in the teen engagement world and teen education world. And if anybody has specific questions for Kelly, I'm sure she would be more than happy to answer those questions offline. Just reach out to me and I will get you in touch with her. So thank you, Kelly. This was—
Oh, thank you. It was really my pleasure. I'm really excited that I got an opportunity to share about the work of JumpSpark. And I really, if anybody wants to talk, I know I talked about lots of things. So if anybody wants to have follow-up conversations, I am really more than happy to share.
And you are hiring, right? You've got another—
We are hiring an engagement manager right now. We are hiring another person. So if anybody has an amazing person who lives in Atlanta, would like to live in Atlanta, and would really like to help to continue to build this thing with us, we're looking for an amazing person. So send them our way.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Take care. Happy rest of your Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye-bye.